welcome back to Road to Wire. In this one, we're going to have a look at some popular FPL questions ahead of Game Week 4, so let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first question we're looking at here is related to Florian Wirtz. Now, should we be keeping or should we be selling him? A lot of people are selling him. However, I don't think you should be. I've got him in my team. I am certainly not selling him right now. There's quite a lot to unpack with Wirtz. So firstly, yes, he has been very disappointing in these first 3 weeks. We were expecting quite a lot from him. He had a great pre-season, was getting involved in a lot of goals in pre-season, but that hasn't translated into the league yet. Now, a lot of players around him have been doing well, which has made it look a bit worse. The likes of Ekatike has started really well. Gakpo started really well. Szoboszlai started really well. So it's not a team thing. It's not something like Villa where the whole team just isn't performing. This is a situation where he just hasn't really looked at it that much. Now, in the second half, in Game Week 3, he did look a bit better. So there is a little bit of promise from that. The second thing we want to be talking about when we come to Wirtz is that he looked like he was limping off. Now, that was just cramp because he played in both of Germany's games in the international break, so there's nothing to worry about injury-wise. Now, the next point to talk about is Alexander Isak. Obviously, Liverpool on deadline day signed Alexander Isak, which is means interesting things for Liverpool and their attack. So you've obviously, what they've been playing at the moment, Sarr on the right, Gakpo on the left, Ekatike up front, and then Wirtz in the kind of 10 role. Now, one of those players will drop out for Isak. Isak will start games. However, firstly, I don't think that will happen in Game Week 4. Alexander Isak has only played 19 minutes of football since May. He didn't play in any of Newcastle's pre-season friendlies. He obviously didn't play in any of Newcastle's Premier League games up to this point. The only minutes he's played is he came on for 19 minutes in Sweden's second international game, most recently. So that also means he hasn't had any time to train with Liverpool because he's been away of Sweden. I just can't see a world where he starts against Burnley. I think the same front four that has been starting for Liverpool will start against Burnley. So I don't think we need to be worried about Wirtz right now. But even going forward, I can't see that Wirtz is the one that's going to be dropping out. Now, it is possible they could play Isak and Ekatike as a front two with Gakpo on the left and Salah on the right. However, I think it's more likely that we'll see Ekatike either move to the left and Gakpo drops out, or Ekatike drops out and just Gakpo plays and Isak plays up front. Either way, I think all of these five will get really good minutes, to be honest. I don't think that one is just going to drop out and then be done for the rest of the season. I think we'll see a lot of minutes, and I think that, like I say, I just don't think that Wirtz is someone that we need to be looking at selling right now, especially when he's got Burnley up next and then Everton after that. Statistically, like XG, shots conceded, they are the two worst defences so far this season. Short sample, of course, but for that reason, I just would not be selling Wirtz this week. Okay, the next one is Nottingham Forest players. Now, they've been a little bit disappointing so far this season. I mean, we expected big things from them because last season they performed really well. The defenders kept a lot of clean sheets. They kept 13. Only Liverpool kept more with 14. Obviously, Chris Wood, the likes of Hudson-Odoi were all pretty impressive last year. However, they haven't really done the business much this season so far, especially the defenders. They haven't kept one clean sheet yet. However, again, this is something where I don't think we really need to panic on it, given the fixtures. I mean, it's Arsenal this week, which of course isn't great. If you can bench your defenders, then do. But after that, it's Burnley and Sunderland. So I don't really see a world where you don't want these guys playing against Burnley and Sunderland. So I just think if you can bench this week, then you bench. If you can hold, then you hold. Another thing to note is that Nuno is obviously gone now and Ange Postecoglou has come in. Now, this does mean this is quite relevant for Forest players in general because Ange, we know from his time at Tottenham, is a typically kind of attack-first manager. Nuno kept things pretty solid at the back for Forest, whereas, like I say, Ange will be a bit more attack-first. So whether we still see as many clean sheets from Forest as we did last season, I'm not sure that's likely. However, again, I just don't think we really need to panic on it right now, given that the fixtures after Arsenal are so good. I just think we keep these Forest players for now. Okay, now this is a big talking point this week. The best replacements for Ismaila Sarr. Now, a lot of people bought Sarr last week, or already had Sarr, to be honest. I myself, in my own team, bought Sarr. So I am having to deal with this situation this week myself. Now, it doesn't look great for Sarr replacements, especially if you're looking at anybody in the price range that is 6.5 or lower. Now, if you've got a bit of money in the bank, then you're in a better situation, because if you don't already have him, you can maybe get up to Semenyo. I think Semenyo is significantly better than a lot of the 6.5 and below million midfielders, which makes sense given his price, of course. However, there are a couple of good options if you do just want to spend a bit less. I mean, Kudos from Spurs is a nice option. He obviously has quite good fixtures coming up. Spurs didn't look great against Bournemouth in Gameweek 3. However, previous to that, they did look pretty good going forward. So they are definitely options. If you don't have Reinders, then I still think he's an option. He's been, FPL points wise, disappointing in the last couple of weeks. However, I still think he's going to be great. I mean, we know that Shirky's injured. We know that Foden's got a bit of an injury. A lot of the players that would be taking minutes off of him just aren't around anymore. Like Gundogan, for example, he's gone. So I think his minutes will be good. And I think what we saw in Game Week 1 against Wolves can still happen going forward. So I think he's a really good option. Obviously, the fixtures aren't great for the next couple. So maybe he's not one you want to buy now, which doesn't really help you for a Sarr replacement at this point. But again, someone like Elliot Anderson is also really good. He was almost hit the defensive contribution points in every single game. He's got 11, so he's been one off in every game so far. Annoyingly, he actually did hit the defensive contribution points in his game for England. But he, I think, is a really good option. Like I said, there's great fixtures for Forest coming up. However, if you're buying him this week, then you do have Arsenal away, so that's not an ideal fixture. There's another couple of options, like you can go to players like Ndai or Dewsbury Hall, because Everton have been performing really well going forward so far this season. Or another option is Lucas Paquetá from West Ham. Now, he is on penalties. He is pretty good for defensive contribution points as well. The only downside is obviously that he plays for West Ham and they are not great at the moment. However, they were pretty good in Game Week 3. So if we see that continue, then maybe he'll be a really good option. I think they are probably the best options. There's other guys like Ruta, if you want to go that way. I'm not sure that I'd particularly want to be going near Brighton too much. Their fixtures are good, but the rotation at Brighton just seems quite a lot. I mean, Ruta does seem like one who might not be rotated as much, but he's definitely an option. Or even potentially someone like Matoma. He shouldn't get rotated too much, so he is definitely an option as well. They're the guys that I probably like the most for the Sarr replacements. Like I say, if you can get up to Semenyo, then I think that he's the one. But there are a couple of sneaky options down at 6.5 million or lower. And the last question we're going to be looking at is whether to keep or sell your Aston Villa players. So your Rodgers, your Ollie, Watkins. Now, obviously Villa have been really disappointing so far this season. They haven't scored a goal and their fixtures haven't actually been that bad. They played Brentford, for example, who defensively really haven't looked great. So it's not been good for Villa. However, their fixtures are really, really nice. So this week it's Everton, and I mentioned earlier that Everton XG conceded, shots conceded, they are bottom 2 with Burnley. I mean, last season we saw Everton, their defence was pretty good, their attack not so much. This season it seems to have flipped and their attack's been pretty good so far. Their defence hasn't. With Branthwaite out, they really struggle, and Branthwaite is going to be out for this game. So, yeah, Everton and Burnley are the two kind of worst defences so far this season. It's a small sample, but they've been the worst. Speaking of Burnley, Villa also play Burnley at home in Game Week 7. So they play the two worst defences so far this season in the next 4 weeks. In between that, they also play Sunderland and Fulham. So the fixtures are absolutely lovely. It's just whether you prefer form over fixtures. I personally like to think, and this has played out previously as well, that good fixtures create form. So I'm hoping that that's the case with Watkins and Rodgers, and I think it will be, to be honest. I can't see Villa continuing to just be this bad. Villa, we've seen over the last couple of seasons with Emery, are just a good team, a good attack. So I back them to sort it out. I would be keeping Watkins and Rodgers for these good fixtures. Okay, and that is all for this one. Make sure you're checking out rotowire.com/soccer. All sorts of good stuff on there. You've got the cheat sheets, you've got stats tables, you've got the FPL rankings. Make sure you are checking that out. rotowire.com/soccer. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.